Hello, everyone. Welcome to U.S. Immigration Info. As immigration enforcement continues to shape national debate, new political responses are now emerging at both the state and federal level. This week, lawmakers introduced two separate but closely related proposals, one at the state level and one in Congress, both reflecting growing tension around the role of federal immigration enforcement in the United States. While neither proposal changes immigration law overnight, together they signal a widening divide over how immigration enforcement should function moving forward. In this video, I will explain the latest developments involving a Maryland bill aimed at restricting former ICE agents from state law enforcement roles, a new congressional effort to abolish ICE, and what these moves may indicate for immigration enforcement policy in the months ahead. If you find this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and give it a like so you never miss important updates delivered straight to your smartphone. Now, let us get into the video. Let us begin with the development at the state level. Lawmakers in Maryland have introduced new legislation that would prevent individuals who previously served as agents with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement from joining state or local law enforcement agencies. According to reporting, the bill specifically targets individuals who joined ICE during recent federal recruitment efforts, particularly those tied to expanded immigration enforcement initiatives. Supporters of the Maryland proposal argue that state and local police departments should remain clearly separated from federal immigration enforcement. They say that hiring former ICE agents into state policing roles could blur that line, undermine community trust, and discourage immigrant communities from cooperating with local law enforcement. Lawmakers backing the bill describe it as a public safety measure, not an immigration rule. They emphasize that the goal is to preserve a distinction between state policing and federal immigration enforcement, especially in communities where fear of deportation already discourages people from reporting crimes or interacting with police. Opponents of the proposal argue that it unfairly restricts employment opportunities and excludes individuals with prior law enforcement experience. They warned that barring former ICE agents could reduce the pool of qualified candidates for state police roles and politicize hiring decisions. While the Maryland bill applies only within the state, it highlights how immigration enforcement is increasingly influencing decisions far beyond federal agencies. States are beginning to respond not just through sanctuary policies or cooperation limits, but also through hiring and personnel rules tied directly to immigration enforcement backgrounds. Now, let us turn to the second development, this time at the federal level. A member of Congress has announced plans to introduce legislation aimed at abolishing ICE altogether. According to the announcement, the proposed bill would dismantle the agency and transfer or eliminate its enforcement responsibilities, citing concerns over enforcement practices, accountability, and the broader impact of ICE operations on immigrant communities. This is not the first time calls to abolish ICE have surfaced in Washington, but the announcement reflects renewed political momentum around the issue. Supporters of the proposal argue that ICE's enforcement model has created fear, family separation, and civil rights concerns, and that immigration enforcement should be restructured under a different framework. Critics of the proposal respond that abolishing ICE would leave a significant gap in immigration enforcement and national security. They argue that regardless of policy disagreements, the federal government still needs an agency responsible for enforcing immigration laws and managing removals ordered by immigration courts. It is important to note that announcing a bill and passing a bill are very different things. Legislation to abolish ICE would face substantial political and legal hurdles, and there is no indication that such a proposal currently has enough support to become law. Still, the announcement itself is significant because it keeps the debate around immigration enforcement front and center. Taken together, these two developments, the Maryland bill and the congressional proposal, reflect a broader shift in how immigration enforcement is being debated in the United States. Rather than focusing only on border policy or visa rules, lawmakers are now openly questioning the structure, role, and influence of enforcement agencies themselves. For immigrants, these developments may raise questions about what changes could come next. In the short term, there is no immediate impact on immigration applications, green cards, visas, or citizenship cases. USCIS processing continues, and existing enforcement laws remain in place. However, these proposals may influence longer-term policy discussions and shape how enforcement priorities evolve. For communities, the conversation centers on trust. State-level proposals like the one in Maryland aim to reassure immigrant communities that local police are not extensions of federal immigration enforcement. Federal proposals to restructure or abolish ICE aim to reimagine how immigration laws are enforced altogether. For now, both proposals remain in the early stages. The Maryland bill must move through the state legislature, and the congressional proposal has yet to be formally introduced. Debate, amendments, and opposition are expected at every step. What is clear is that immigration enforcement is no longer just a federal issue. States, cities, and lawmakers across the country are increasingly shaping how enforcement intersects with public safety, employment, and community relations. As these proposals move forward, we will continue to track developments closely and explain what they mean and what they do not mean for immigrants and their families. As always, separating political debate from practical impact is essential during moments like this. That is all we have for this bulletin. U.S. Immigration Info Channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It is important to understand the United States immigration processing steps, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and more. We will continue to provide all information about U.S. visitor visas such as B1 and B2, work visas such as L1A, L1B, and H1B, student visas, green cards, immigrant visas, EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, and EB5, and family immigrant visas. If you have not already, please subscribe to U.S. Immigration Info Channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.